I want to talk today about something that's very personal for me, and it's offensive to me also. Some of you are going to take issue with that, I know. I don't read all the comments, but we get them. I have a team that reads them. And a lot of you take issue with this. You think that I'm, not leveling with you. But I want to tell you this, all right? Cosa Nostra, Mafia in this country during my time, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, we were not major drug pushers. We weren't a cartel. We didn't get involved. Carlo Gambino hated the idea of drugs. Persico hated drugs. Colombo hated drugs. Castellano hated drugs. You know the deal. Gotti's crew allegedly was involved in drugs in some way, and as a result, he was in trouble with Castellano. You know that story. I'm not getting into it. We were not allowed to deal with drugs. Personally, I hated anything to do with drugs. Why? Because of my family. My brother, sister dies of overdose of cocaine. My brother, a drug addict, 20 some odd years, eventually went into the witness protection program because of his drug addiction, caught the HIV virus because he put needles in his arms or whatever the hell he did to put that garbage in his system, and eventually became an informant, testified against my father. Fortunately, he's cleaned up his act now, but he's had a horrible life as a result, and we as a family had a horrible life. So I get personally offended when we are considered, the Mafia, Cosa Nostra, during my time, to be drug dealers, because we weren't. Yes, guys were doing it on the side. Listen, when you're on the street, guys are hustling. Not everybody was an earner in that life. So you have an opportunity, you maybe do a little drug deal here and there. I know guys that got killed for it. My friend, Tony Orgello, Big Tony the Gawk, I told you his story. Got involved in a little minor drug deal, was afraid he was going to get killed because we found out about it. He blew his brains out in a telephone booth because he didn't want to walk into a room and get his head blown off that way, which was one of the horrors of what happens in that life. Your best friend walks into a room, you're in trouble, you don't know it, boom, you get your head blown out. He didn't want that to happen, so he shot himself, killed himself because he knew he couldn't be involved in drugs. So please, somebody's going to say, oh, come on, Michael, Vito Genovese. Yeah, Vito Genovese was a drug dealer, and he wasn't supposed to be involved in it. But after that, no, we weren't major guys. Now, I want to tell you a story that's very personal to me. Hey everyone, welcome to another Sit Down with Michael Franzese, and I hope everybody is doing well. Everything is okay on this end, but today I got something to talk about that, kind of painful, I'm going to be honest with you. Matter of fact, it's very painful, and it's kind of a tragedy that's hit my family in the past couple of weeks. Something very serious, a young man who was very close to my family, one family member in particular, very close to me, suddenly died. And it was very, very hard for our family to accept. Obviously, when things happen suddenly and tragically, very, very hard to accept. And we don't have an autopsy report yet. He was a young man, but preliminary reports kind of give us an indication of what went wrong. We think it had something to do with prescription drugs, and it's an area, something I want to get into today, and it is so painful because many of you know that have been following me that I lost a sister to a drug overdose, cocaine actually. I had a brother, fortunately, that had a drug problem for over 20 some odd years. And I can't even begin to tell you how harmful it was, not only to them, obviously my sister lost her life, but to the family. Drugs are just a horrible, horrible addiction. It's evil. It's just a terrible affliction that we have in our country. Obviously the world, but really in America. And I want to talk a little bit about it today because it's kind of a warning shot for all of you out there. 70 or 80% of inmates in federal prison are there for drug-related crimes. Some of them are users themselves, others, or involved in the business. It's a real problem. I'm not going to get political, but something that is personally so aggravating, disappointing to me is, from what I hear, the amount of drugs that are coming across our southern border now. To verify that, a few months back, I spoke at a big seminar with over 750 drug enforcement agents from the state of California. And I spoke to a lot of them, and they told me, Michael, we're not even getting 10% of the drugs that are coming across our southern border. Not even 10%. And the 10% that they are getting are huge volumes. Fentanyl and every other kind of drug that you can imagine. Opioids, horrible, horrible, horrible. So once again, it's hit my family, and I want to talk about it because, again, it's a warning shot. For all you young people out there, the horrible thing about these opioids and this fentanyl, a couple of things. Number one, the young man that passed so tragically, I didn't even know. I saw no outward signs. When my sister was using, when my brother was using cocaine and crack and all that garbage that they put in their system, there were outward signs. We knew it right away. Could see it. It was written all over them. They would run and hide from us. They didn't want us to know, but you could see it. You knew it. With these opioids, you can't tell at times. Now, this young man had gone through rehab. He had a problem because he was an athlete, great athlete, got injured, and the doctor, who I understood is under investigation now back in his hometown, not going to get into all the personal stuff about it, mention names, is under investigation for giving out these opioids so freely. They give them out like it's candy. And he got hooked on it. And he had some issues with depression throughout his life. And I don't know what this opioid did to stimulate him. I'm not sure. Went into rehab and was able to hide it very well if he was using it. We couldn't see it. I mean, he worked for me. Couldn't see it. And like I said, tragically passed away just one morning. I believe, we don't have the reports yet, but I believe cardiac arrest, because that's what these drugs can do. Especially if you're off them for a little while, if you're battling in it, and then you go back and you take maybe a little bit more that you could. They're like instant killers. This fentanyl, reading up on it and seeing a little bit more about it, the minute doses that you have to take that could be critical and can kill you are just, it's mind-boggling. It's like a little piece of sand. You put it in your system and that's it. You young people, I got to tell you this, so many of you that I met in prison, that came from broken homes. I get it. You come from the street. You don't have a father figure in your house. Your mom normally, in many, many cases, was young when she had you. She's got her own problems. She's trying to raise you as a single parent. What happens? You get on the street. You go to the local gangbanger, local drug dealer. Before you know it, you got to make some money. I get it. You put some money in your pocket. You're doing their bidding. You end up in prison. God forbid, someplace worse. A lot of these kids die. But the end is always bad. Always bad. How do we get control of this? I don't know. I don't have the answers. Again, what's coming over the southern border, it's sickening to me. It's disgraceful. And I can tell you right now, any politician that's responsible for this, they should be thrown out of office and thrown in prison. Every single one of them. I don't care who it is. Republican, Democrat, Independent, doesn't matter. These drug enforcement agents, rather, they have their hands tied. They're trying to do their best. It's a real problem. And I want to tell you this again. Don't blame the Mafia. Don't blame Cosa Nostra in this country. We were not the major drug dealers. The guys that were doing it were not supposed to be doing it. They were doing it on the side. And we're talking about the mob, Cosa Nostra, in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, up until the time that I left in 95. We were not drug pushers. We weren't. We weren't big in that business. And a lot of guys didn't like it. We kept it out of our neighborhoods for sure. Nobody in my area in Greenpoint was doing anything with drugs. And if we did, my father would have handled it, and later on I would have. We didn't allow it. I hate anything to do with drugs because I lost a sister. My brother, with his addiction, it caused him eventually to join the witness protection program and became a witness against my father. If my brother wasn't a drug user, that would have never happened. I have seen and witnessed and now experienced the dangers and the evils of drugs firsthand. I have a ministry, and we're really thinking about starting something within the ministry to help combat this fentanyl use. You know, we're just one of many people out there that want to do something about it because it's destroying our young people in this country, destroying them. And this loss that we took, this was a brilliant young man, great personality, an athlete, good-looking kid, talented, but he had this problem, and it was hard for him to hook. It's, you know, just so tragic. I don't know what else to say or what else to call it. It's heartbreaking to see what these young men and women go through that get hooked on this. And I'll tell you, anybody out there that's pushing this stuff, you know, I don't wish hell on anybody. I am a Christian, and you know, the vision of hell should not be for anyone. But man, I pray that you clean up your act. I really do. And you stop pushing this stuff on these young kids. The money, it's not worth it, man. You're going down at some point anyway, so why get involved in this? Look, I can go on, but you know, just wanted to make a couple of points. This was kind of a plea from me. You know, clean up your act. If you need to go into detox and rehab, do it. Don't wait. Don't think you can beat it on your own. You need help on this, seek it. There's enough places out there, there are enough people out there that care about this situation. There are places that you can get help. And stay tuned, because like I said, I think I'm going to dive deeper into this. I'm going to be able to be a source for those of you that are struggling with this issue and this problem. I'm going to tell you this too. Don't get this stuff from people on the street. You don't know what they're doing. You don't know what you're taking. You have no idea. This young man, it was an accidental death. He had no clue. He had everything to live for. This was an accidental death. He probably got something from somebody. We're investigating it. We're looking for the information. We're trying to find out that gave him something that was lethal and killed him. He didn't want to die. And so many of you young people out there, I know you're in the same situation. You got to stop. This stuff is deadly. So stay tuned. Like I said, we are considering doing something on a significant level to try to give help to people that have this problem. We want to do our part as a ministry. So that's it. I think you can see, you know, drugs is something that have afflicted my family, you know, throughout my lifetime. And I just pray for all those of you out there that might have this problem, that somehow you get hooked, or that God, you know, has some mercy on you and helps you out in a way that you really need it. So that's it for today. You know, don't have much more to say about this, but I will tell you, how do I always leave you? Be safe, and I really mean that. Be healthy. Don't put this garbage in your system. God bless you, and yeah, I'll see you next time.